The movie begins as the German army triumphs over the Polish army, prompting orders for all Jews to register their families and relocate to major cities. Over 10,000 Jews pour into Krakow daily, initially starting with a single family registering, but soon escalating into a bustling crowd, clamoring for registration to secure rations and care. Among the chaos, Oskar Schindler, a German Nazi Party member and businessman, strategically integrates himself into elite circles at a high-end club frequented by Wehrmacht and SS officials. He swiftly garners their favor through generous gestures of buying them drinks and charming them with pleasant behavior. He positions himself among their ranks. As the Nazis tighten their grip and Jews are stripped of their livelihoods, a Jewish council called the Judenrat, comprising 24 elected Jewish members, is established to address community grievances. In the long lines at the council, Oskar casually approaches Itzhak Stern, seeking his assistance. Privately, Oskar proposes establishing an enamelware factory, leveraging Itzhak's expertise in utensils, pots, and pans production. Despite initial reluctance due to legal restrictions on Jewish business ownership and a lack of potential investors, Oskar persuades Itzhak with promises of profits from the black market and a prominent role in running the enterprise, while Schindler will be the face and presentation of it. Undeterred, Schindler seeks a secret meeting in a church where Jewish smugglers operate and come together. Eventually connecting with a fearless smuggler named Poldek, Schindler outlines his need for many luxury items, and Poldek assures him of his assistance. In March of 1940, the Jewish population was forcibly relocated from their homes, with 12 people allotted a mere 16 square feet of living space. Itzhak gathers a few Jewish investors to hear Schindler's business proposal. Despite initial reluctance, Schindler convinces them to provide funding in exchange for goods. With little choice, the investors agree, and Itzhak begins setting up the company's office and acquiring machinery. As an accountant, Itzhak informs Schindler that Jewish workers are paid less than their Polish counterparts, with their wages being sent off directly to SS officers. Unwilling to increase wages beyond necessity, Schindler instructs Itzhak to hire Jewish workers for the company. Understanding that workers deemed essential under the company's German permit are exempt from deportation to concentration camps, or Itzhak swiftly recruits numerous non-essential workers to safeguard their lives. Many of these new hires lack metalworking skills, so Itzhak provides them with falsified documents and trains them in factory tasks. Intellectuals are often deemed non-essential due to their perceived lack of utility in wartime endeavors and make up a large number of workers in the factory. Schindler maintains his facade by showering SS officers with gifts and smuggling high-quality food to them, ultimately expressing gratitude to Itzhak for the company's success. When a woman named Emily visits, Schindler introduces her as his wife. He confides in her about his ambition to return home with substantial wealth, ensuring his lasting legacy. However, Emily's presence proves unsuccessful when she wishes to be known as Schindler's wife without his approval, and she eventually departs. Unaware of Itzhak's efforts to save non-essential Jewish lives through the company, Schindler is approached by an elderly Jewish man who expresses gratitude for the job opportunity and life-saving intervention. Schindler, perplexed by the man's missing arm, questions Itzhak about his usefulness to the factory, but Itzhak dismisses the inquiry. As 350 Jewish workers head to the factory, they are intercepted by SS officers who force them to shovel snow. In a ruthless display, the officers deem an old, one-armed Jewish worker useless and fatally shoot him. Schindler, disturbed by the loss of production and life, confronts a higher-ranking SS officer named Rolf, demanding compensation. However, Rolf dismisses Schindler's concerns, asserting that considering a Jew a skilled mechanic borders on treason. A few days later, Poldek informs Schindler that Itzhak's name has been listed as dispensable, and he's being compelled for deportation. Rushing to the platform, Schindler threatens the junior SS officers with relocation to southern Russia unless they assist in locating Itzhak. Eventually, they haul the train and release him. Itzhak explains his absence was due to forgetting his work card and being swept into the crowd. Following the deportation of Jews to concentration camps, the Germans sift through their belongings, categorizing them as necessary or unnecessary. Meanwhile, construction commences on the Plazow labor camp, overseen by Amon Goeth, a member of the Nazi Party. When Diana, a Jewish civil engineer educated at a prestigious university, warns him of unstable foundations, Goeth dismisses her due to her ethnicity, ordering her execution execution to assert dominance before complying with her advice. Gathering his soldiers, Eamon delivers a speech declaring the day as one that will erase the Jewish presence in Krakow. The soldiers forcefully gather Jews from their homes, separating men and women and executing those who resist. Poldek instructs his wife to flee through the sewers before he enters one himself. As Jews are lined up for slaughter, Schindler observes from a hill overlooking the ghetto, witnessing the brutality. Among the chaos, he notices a young girl in a red coat, the only splash of color in the grim scene, seemingly unaffected by the war around her. Disturbed by what he witnesses, Schindler departs, visibly shaken by the atrocities. Even those who manage to hide under the beds or inside secret tunnels they made in their houses, or the sewers and the stables are found during the day, and eventually meet their demise. The following morning, attendance is taken, and the remaining Jews, still in significant numbers, are assigned as laborers. Women, relieved, believe the worst is over as now they will live as laborers. But Eamon, positioned with his sniper on his villa's balcony, ruthlessly shoots any Jew he catches slacking, even for a moment. Despite Schindler's disgust towards the situation, he attempts to ingratiate himself with Eamon for the sake of his struggling company. Schindler bribes Eamon and secures permission to establish his subcamp within the camp where Eamon will not interfere. Eamon summons Itzhak, instructing him to ensure his share is delivered and to report on Schindler's business activities. A lavish party is thrown in celebration of Schindler's generosity, and Schindler meets with Itzhak, receiving guidance on managing company finances while ensuring timely bribes to SS officers. Schindler expresses regret for not freeing him from the camp, providing him with concealed food and promising regular visits every Wednesday. Several days later, Eamon conducts a surprise inspection at the metalware factory within the camp, discovering a hinge maker. He orders the maker to produce a hinge, which he does promptly. However, Eamon observes a meager pile of hinges despite the maker's long work hours. He leads the maker outside for execution, even when the worker explains that the fewer hinges are not because he was slacking, but because the machines needed fixing. Eamon shoots, but his gun misfires, and subsequent attempts with other weapons also fail, leaving the maker miraculously spared. Itzhak persuades Schindler to hire the hinge maker, so Eamon doesn't get a chance to kill him, and another incident occurs where a chicken is stolen, leading to all the Jews being punished until the culprit is found. One man is killed to pressure the real thief to come forward, but a brave young boy confesses to seeing the deceased man steal, thus sparing others from Eamon's wrath. Recognizing the child's courage and now his vulnerability, Itzhak swiftly offers him employment in the company. Days later, Regina Perlman attempts to visit Schindler, but her Jewish identity leads to her not being allowed to meet him. Disguising herself as a noblewoman, she manages to meet him, imploring him to hire her parents, citing the factory as a sanctuary where no Jew dies. Schindler scolds her, stating he only employs skilled workers, and she shouldn't start such rumors about him. Confronting Itzhak, Schindler expresses awareness of his actions, asserting that while Eamon may choose to kill everyone, it's not his duty to save them. Despite Itzhak's reassurances of financial stability, Schindler highlights the danger of aiding or sheltering Jews as treason. Attempting to empathize with Eamon, Schindler acknowledges the war's influence on his behavior, insisting he doesn't derive pleasure from killing. Itzhak counters with a harrowing account of Eamon's brutal response to a recent escape, where 25 were slain before the escapee was killed. Schindler then provides Itzhak with Regina's parents' names and his watch to bribe camp officers, officially beginning their assistance to the Jews. During another of Eamon's lavish gatherings, Schindler discovers Helen, Eamon's Jewish maid, in the wine cellar. Offering her food and reassurance, Schindler aligns himself with her, and she tells him that the first time she got here, she was beaten because she threw the bones from the dinner. She tells him that she has accepted that he will one day shoot her because she has seen him randomly kill people just for the sake of it. He assures her that she will be fine and comforts her. Later that evening, Schindler confronts a drunken Eamon, explaining that true power lies not in the ability to kill whenever one wants, but in showing mercy to those who are powerless. Despite Eamon's attempt at mercy the next day, he fails miserably, shooting a cleaning boy for a minor inconvenience of cleaning the washroom with soap instead of lye, and brutally assaulting Helen upon realizing his feelings for a Jewish woman. Schindler breaks social norms during his birthday celebration by kissing his Jewish staff alongside other guests, symbolizing his belief in equality. The Jews undergo a selection process process, with those deemed fit for work allowed to stay while others are transported away. This is done in a demanding manner by making Jews run around naked, and women are forced to use their blood as blush and lip tint to appear more alive. Heartbreakingly, all the children are separated and taken away in cars, leaving mothers desperate and chasing after them. As the Jews are loaded onto trains, they beg for water, prompting Schindler to request fire hoses from Amen to provide some relief. Initially misinterpreting Schindler's intentions, Amen is happy that Schindler is torturing the Jews by throwing water on them, but eventually realizes Schindler's compassion for the suffering Jews. Schindler faces brief military custody for breaking racial laws by kissing a Jewish girl, but is swiftly released due to his connections with high-ranking SS officers. As the camp prepares to close, Amen receives orders to exhume and cremate over 10,000 Jews. He informs Schindler of the impending closure and relocation. In the middle of the grim task of transporting bodies for cremation, Amen spots the same girl in the red coat, now dead and being burned. Schindler approaches Itzhak and informs him that he has requested Amen to ensure special protection for him in the new camp. Expressing his lack of attachment to the current situation, Schindler suggests going back to his hometown, but Itzhak advises him to hire Polish workers for his business. However, Schindler declines, acknowledging Itzhak's pivotal role in running the business and stating he has earned sufficient wealth to last his entire life. Attempting to console a tearful Itzhak, Schindler offers reassurance that the war will eventually end. Returning home, Schindler begins packing his money, but finds himself unable to abandon his workers due to his conscience. He approaches Amen with a proposal to establish another camp in a different city, utilizing his factory and retaining his workers. Initially, Amen is suspicious of Schindler doing so much for a factory, but seeing the bribe he is being offered per person, he agrees by compiling a list with the names of all the children and factory employees. The list grew to over 1,100 people, revealing Schindler's intention to purchase their lives to save them from their fate. Schindler gambles with Amen for Helen's freedom, initially rejected by Amen, who plans to take her to Vienna, but eventually secures her release through the wager. The workers are divided into two trains, one for men and the other for women, destined for Brunlitz. Schindler warmly welcomes the men's train upon arrival by offering them bread and soup, but he realizes the women's train has been mistakenly rerouted to Auschwitz. Taking swift action, Schindler bribes an SS officer to redirect the women's train back. Meanwhile, the women undergo distressing experiences, including having their hair cut and shaved and fearing they will be burned once they are put in chambers, only to be provided with showers and water. Despite the initial disbelief of SS officers in children having an essential role as workers, Schindler intervenes, explaining the need for their skilled labor in manufacturing enamelware with precision of a few millimeters for which they need small fingers. Schindler establishes strict rules at the factory, prohibiting SS guards from entering and forbidding unlawful killings. He permits Jewish workers to observe religious rituals like the Sabbath. Over the following 7 months, he exhausts his wealth by purchasing shell casings from other industries and bribing Nazi officials, ensuring the factory produces no functional weapons due to his schemes. However, by 1945, just before Germany's surrender, Schindler finds himself bankrupt. Addressing his workers, Schindler expresses gratitude for their survival, but acknowledges his status as a Nazi party member and war profiteer, and tells them his need to flee as he will be hanged if found by the Soviet Union. He informs the SS guards that they have orders to kill everyone in the camp, but offers them a chance to leave and return to their families as men, not murderers, which the guards take and leave the scene. While preparing to flee with his wife, Emily, Schindler's employees present him with a ring bearing the Talmudic phrase, "Whoever saves one life saves the world entirely," and a signed declaration acknowledging his role in saving Jewish lives. Embracing Itzhak and expressing remorse for not saving more lives, Schindler breaks down, lamenting that he could have sold his car and gold pins to rescue more people. After sharing a hug with Itzhak and the workers, they change into Jewish attire to escape. The next morning, the Soviet Union arrives, announcing liberation to the survivors and directing them to the nearest town. They begin their journey to the countryside and start a new life. In the epilogue, it is revealed that Amen was executed for his crimes against humanity. Schindler's marriage and businesses both failed, but he was honored as a righteous individual individual, symbolized by a tree planted in Jerusalem in his memory, which still stands today. Many of the people saved by Schindler and the actors portraying them continue to visit his grave, paying tribute with flowers and rocks on its memorial.